Thank you, Sam. Good morning. Welcome to the First Universalist Church of Yarmouth. My name is Mary Cheney, and I serve on the Worship Council. I'm very happy to see you all here this morning, and it was great to see so many of you at No Kings protest yesterday. I extend a warm welcome to all of you who are gathered here in our sanctuary, as well as to our friends who are joining us on Zoom. At First Universalist, our mission is to explore our faith, embrace this community, and to engage the world as spiritual speakers. May we take these words to heart. If this is your first time in our congregation, welcome. We have connection cards in front of you in your pew that we all use to sign up to inquire about programs, request assistance, and sign up for events. Tell us what you're interested in. You can drop this in the offering plate that is passed later in our service. If you're here today with a young child who might prefer to spend the next hour in a space with toys and games, nursery care is not available today. Our nursery assistant is sick, but you are still welcome to use our nursery, which is down the hall. It'll be open, the door to the left, and you just have to go with your kid if you want to use the nursery thing. And following the candle lighting this morning, all children are invited to join Mac and Gwen downstairs for Children's Chapel. And as always, we have a few announcements. If you're looking for connections here in our community other than coffee hour, here we go. Our adult RE committee is hosting a movie and discussion night that is Wednesday evening at 6:30. If you've been wanting to talk about what's going on in our world and how to move forward with thoughtful folks, this is for you. Another way to connect with friends and make friends here is to join a small group. These groups are 6 to 8 people of our community that meet once or twice a month and reflect on our spiritual questions. This is a time when groups are welcoming new members, so sign a connection card or email Gwen. Another option is Lectio Divina. Due to Reverend Hillary's upcoming surgery, she's hosting Lectio Divina at 8:30 this Tuesday morning in the gathering room. See details about all of these things in our Sunday morning newsletter. And now a quick word from Reverend Hillary.
Thanks, Mary. So Friday, an email went out to a vast many people in our congregation that appeared to be from me. And the email looked a lot like my email, but it had some numbers in it. In that email, I told you to call me immediately because I had something very important to tell you. And then many of you responded to that email, and I said, will you please buy me 7 Apple gift cards? Why the world is this way, I do not know, but it is what it is. So, a couple things on this front. I was at a conference when this email went out, and I looked at my phone, and I had like 26 text messages and calls. So bless your hearts for getting an email from me and thinking and calling me immediately to see what was going on. Many of you did say, I think this is scam, and many of you said, what do you need? How many gift cards should I buy? So I apologize if I didn't get back to all of you. I was doing other things, but I just want to say, emails like this go out from time to time, and I will never, mark my words, I will never ask you to purchase anything on my behalf. If for some very random and unexpected reason I do, we will have previously spoken about it. Like you were gonna get the popcorn for the RE movie night, and I'm just making sure you're gonna do that. I also, if I'm ever gonna tell you to call me immediately, I'm not gonna say it cryptically. I'm gonna tell you, here's what's going on. If you could give me a call today, please do. So if you get an email from me that seems really alarmist, or I'm asking you to spend a bunch of money, it's probably fake. So just check that email. And you could also, anytime you get a message from me, you could just double check the email. It's firstuminister@gmail.com. straightforward, okay? So sorry about that. Please, not again, ever again. But that said, as we settle into this worshipful space on this bright morning, I invite you to take a deep breath in, maybe stretch, and enjoy a song from our choir. And good morning again. How are you? How's everyone doing this morning? Silence. Okay. Yeah, we're here. We're here. I'm Hillary. I serve as the minister of this church, and as it has been each week and will continue well into the weeks to come, with peace and friendship, I'm so glad to say, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, whatever it is you have done or need to do or need someone to help you do, you are welcome here. And we're so glad that you too are here with us in peace and friendship this morning. Today, in the midst of our month of cultivating compassion, on the Sunday following a day when many across the country and state took to the streets in the name of the democracy this country was founded upon, we offer a service that uplifts the unexpected happiness that arises when we are heard, when we are seen, and when we are welcomed into something bigger than ourselves. On this note, our words of invocation this morning are a poem by the Nuyorican poet and activist Aja Monet. This poem is titled Solidarity. Solidarity. Beside you, we sit unsaid, Your smile, my face. Your hurt, my hands. Your laughter, my dimples. Your tears fall from my eyes. Your tired arms hang from my heavy shoulders. Your feet are in my shoes. This breath is our breath. This life is our life. And care by care will carry on together. Good morning, my smiling, hurting, laughing, and tearful friends. As we settle into this time and space, let's turn to the neighbors beside us, say a hello, and ask them how they're doing. One, two, three. And friends, will you rise in body and spirit? Join in singing our opening hymn. It's a good one, number 357, Bright Morning Stars. And we're going to sing verses 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. And will you remain risen to share our words of the unison affirmation? It's written in your order of service. We are united in seeking to increase love with justice and to constitute a free church open to all people, mindful of our past and drawing on our knowledge. We respond to the spiritual needs of persons and are devoted to the common good in community, nation, and world. We cherish the integrity of each individual and search for truth with reason as our guide. We respect differences of opinion and strive to be a democratic community. We are concerned with this world and open to the future. May it be so, and you may be seated, friends. And are there any children who would like to come up? I need some help lighting our chalice. Would anyone like to give me a hand? Good morning, morning, morning. Wonderful to see you. And hello. Wow, very festive t-shirt. Are you excited for Halloween? Yep, okay. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Do you remember how this works? Okay, what's a... That was good. Okay, so we're gonna light the chalice and we're gonna say what you just did again, and then I'm gonna hold up this flame. I'm gonna put, not by the, we're gonna put the flame over here, and we're all gonna blow it out and make a wish. Okay, so start thinking about your wish, but also think about our chalice blessing. Okay.
Light our chalice in peace and friendship.
All right, let's make a wish. Whoa. I think that one's definitely going to come true. Okay, you can go back to your seats. Thanks for being here. Hey, Gwen, good morning. So, there's this wonderful, beautifully illustrated children's picture book titled Julian is a Mermaid. Anyone ever heard of this book, Julian is a Mermaid?
Or Julian.
Oh, sorry. Julian is a mermaid.
Yeah.
Written by a woman named Jessica Love. What a great last name. It was, interestingly, one of the most banned books in the US over the past couple of years. But in honor of LGBTQ History Month, we'd like to tell this story here today because we're a bunch of radical revolutionaries.
So it starts like this at a water aerobics class at the YMCA, which is where lots of good things begin.
So true. After the water aerobics class, 2 people leave the YMCA and walk to get on the subway, which is how you get around in Brooklyn, New York. The 2 people are a boy named Julian and his abuela, which is Spanish for grandmother.
And on the subway, Julian spots mermaids. Julian loves mermaids. And as Julian stares at the mermaids, the train suddenly begins to fill with water. Soon, Julian loses his shoes and his shirt and his shorts, and his hair begins to grow long, and then a swirl of fish of every color circle around his body and transform him into a mermaid. His tail is the color of lilacs and marigolds. He sees an indigo fish swimming towards him with a necklace when
a voice cuts through his imagination. "Vámonos, mijo, this is our stop," says his abuela. They wave goodbye to the mermaids and exit the train.
As they walk through the neighborhood, Julian says to his abuela, "Did you see the mermaids?" "I saw them, mijo," she says. "Abuela, I am also a mermaid," says Julian.
As they enter the apartment, abuela tells Julian she's going to take a bath and admonishes him to be good.
Well, Julian is good. He has a good idea, at least, while his abuela is in the bath. That idea is to take off his shoes and his shirt and his shorts, and next he pulls fronds out of abuela's beautiful fern and gathers some tulips from a vase and makes himself a flower crown. Next, he puts some of abuela's lipstick on his lips. Then he takes down a lacy curtain from the window and makes himself a mermaid tail out of the curtain. Julian looks fabulous.
Abuela comes out of the bathroom just then. Uh-oh, thinks Julian. He's worried that he'll be in trouble. He did make quite a mess, and he borrowed her ferns and that curtain.
Abuela turns and walks away, and Julian is worried. Maybe Abuela thinks he shouldn't dress up as a mermaid?
But Abuela comes back with something held behind her back and says, "Come here, Mio." Julian walks over, nervously, and then he sees his Abuela has a lovely necklace. "For me?" says Julian. "For you, mijo," says Abuela.
Then Abuela takes him outside in his mermaid costume, and they start walking through the neighborhood. "Where are we going?" says Julian. "You'll see," says his Abuela.
Suddenly, they come upon a lot of people gathered together. "Mermaids," whispers Julian. "Like you, mijo," says his Abuela. "Let's join them." And they do. They join the parade of mermaids on Coney Island. And that's the end.
Definitely bannable.
Oh, God, my ears.
So now thinking about this story, it makes me wonder, have any of you ever had a time where you were nervous to reveal some part of yourself to someone you cared about or worried how they might react?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Have you ever wondered, what if they'll be mad at me or disappointed or won't accept me? Anyone ever feared disappointing people? Yeah.
But what if everything worked out? What if our friends and family, our community, embraced us and loved us for who we are? What if when someone reveals part of themselves to us, we embrace them, even help them find community?
What if instead of banning books that promote acceptance of people who might be different from us, we shared them more widely? All things to think about.
And now, so for our children and youth group, we'll be staying in the sanctuary until after candles today. So we'll come back up to say our children's blessing. Unfortunately, Mac is sick today, but the good news is all children and junior youth are invited to come outside together. Thanks.
And with that, be you mermaid or human, we come to the time that we set aside each week for quiet prayer and meditation. This is a time to reflect on what happened these past days or look forward to what might come in the week ahead. You might want to offer a prayer of loving kindness to someone you know who could really use some loving kindness right now. Or you might just want to be here now in the fullness of this moment. Following our quiet, we'll have a time to light candles, but first, friends, will you join me in taking a deep, refreshing breath in, a calming breath out, and relax into a sacred time of silence. At this time, all are welcome to come forward and light a silent candle for the prayers and meditations you keep today. Though we'll not be sharing our feelings out loud this morning, our gathered community and I hold your joys and sorrows with you today and always. If you'd like to light a candle, just come forward, take a candle from the pot, light from our chalice, and place it in this pot of collective sand. We ask that as you place candles, you begin at the far end of this pot and move towards the pulpit. Be so careful never to reach over a flame. And if there is a child with you this morning who'd like to light a candle, please accompany them as they do. For our friends joining us virtually, please write in the chat if you'd like a candle lit for you in the sanctuary this morning. And I also invite you to light candles at home at this time. Would anyone like to light a candle this morning? Will you take another breath with me, friends, as I offer this poetic prayer? by a man named Mahmoud Darwish. He was Palestinian. He died in the early aughts and is generally considered the national poet of Palestine. This poem, this prayer, is titled Think of Others. As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Do not forget the pigeon's food. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Do not forget those who seek peace. As you pay your water bill, think of others, those who are nursed by clouds. As you return home to your home, think of others. Do not forget the people of the camps. As you sleep and count the stars, think of others, those who have nowhere to sleep. As you liberate yourself in metaphor, think of others, those who have lost the right to speak. As you think of others far away, think of yourself and say, if only I were a candle in the dark. Let it be so, and amen. And our friend Mary will introduce our offering. No, we're sending the children on their way. Think of the children, Hal. Think of the children. Will you join me in our children's blessing? We are Unitarian, Universalist, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. And all children and youth are welcome to join when? Outside.
In honor of our UU values of equity and love, this week's half plate is shared with the Minister's Discretionary Fund. Given the high costs of food and fueling and housing and medical care, people in our community are struggling to make ends meet. Our Minister's Discretionary Fund provides confidential assistance to those facing financial burdens in our congregation. If you are in need of financial assistance right now, please let Reverend Hillary know. If you're able to give today to support the Minister's Discretionary Fund, your offering is important to our congregation and greatly appreciated. Thank you. Your generosity is gratefully received.
Thank you so much, choir. Friends, will you rise in body and spirit and join in singing our song of thanksgiving? The verse is written in your order. Thanks, friends. You may be seated. Our reading today is by a much lauded poet from the 20th century, Raymond Carver, who led a really hard life and wrote this poem a couple years before he died in 1988. It's titled Happiness. So early, it's still almost dark out. I'm near the window with coffee and the usual early morning stuff that passes for thought, when I see the boy and his friend walking up the road to deliver the newspaper. They wear caps and sweaters, and one boy has a bag over his shoulder. They're so happy they aren't saying anything, these boys. I think if they could, they would take each other's arm. It's early in the morning, and they're doing this thing together. They come on slowly. The sky is taking on light, though the moon still hangs pale over the water. Such beauty that for a minute, death and ambition, even love, don't enter into this. Happiness. It comes on unexpectedly and goes beyond really any early morning talk about it. The latest edition of the Quoddy Tides, the most easterly newspaper in the United States, had arrived and was sitting in a pile of mail on the kitchen table. The paper, a bi-monthly periodical of happenings in Washington County, Maine, and Charlotte County, New Brunswick, is a continual source of unexpected happiness in my life. Unlike the many other newspapers and magazines I read, the Quoddy Tides is not trying to get clicks. It's not trying to stir up reactionary discourse. It's not embellishing or intruding, nor is it presenting a liberal or conservative bias. The Quoddy Tides is just describing and giving voice to life as it is up there. About a third of the Tides is letters from readers uplifting all kinds of local issues, ranging from the impact of cruise ships on fishermen, pros and cons of different types of salmon farming pens, the increase of wild turkeys in the region, tactics for farming wild blueberries and drought, pickling recipes from grandma, and poems, reader poems about whales and boats and birds. The rest of the paper consists of calendar listings of goings-on in the region and headlines, stories about the issues, changes, and recent events locals should know about. And it was one such story, a headline on the front page of that late September issue, that caught my eye when I came home from my workday, and I stood there reading it before even taking off my coat and shoes. That front page story, Moose down a well now has a story to tell. Granted, this headline was below the fold, but still, front page news. And despite reading it a while ago, unexpectedly, like happiness, this story has really stayed with me. I think about it all the time, and I think I know why. But before I get into it, if it's all right with you, I'd like to read you this front page story from the September 26th issue of the Quoddy Tides and see what meaning you might unexpectedly make of it. Is that okay? It's not super long. Moose Down a Well Now Has a Tale to Tell by Paula Horvath. It's going to be really hard for me not to slip into my Maine accent while reading this, but I'm going to try not to. 15-year-old Cole Brown was up on a ladder building a shed when he heard a clamor coming from the alders behind him. He'd been hearing noises coming from the woods for hours, but this was a noise of a different magnitude. It was the afternoon of September 17th, and Brown was at his small business, Cole's Sheds, on Route 214 in Pembroke. As he descended the ladder, and as he peered through the vegetation, he finally spotted what he thought was an antler lying on the ground. I started walking up to it, thinking it was a shed, and I could pick it up, Brown says. But suddenly, the antler moved, and what Brown thought was a shed turned into one of two very large antlers still attached to a very alive moose. The animal's front legs were scrambling on the rock sides of a deep well, its body out of sight in the hole's darkness. I was speechless, Brown says, adding that the ancient well was deeper than the animal was tall. I was surprised it was alive down there. Brown rushed back to fetch his cell phone and called his father, Jeremy Brown. Soon the two were standing side by side watching the moose, which had by then tumbled fully into the well. So began the Great Moose Rescue of Pembroke. A quick call to the Maine game wardens brought people from across the area. It was at that point that plans were made, according to Cole's sister, Delaney Gardner, who admitted having a secret feeling that this rescue was not gonna go well. An animal that size, well, it usually ends up with their meat being harvested, she explained. The old well, about 10 feet deep and 6 feet across, was surrounded by rock sides. No one knew how long the moose, a young bull, had been down in that hole. By this time, others had arrived, and as Gardner says, a plan to save the moose had been hatched. As Jeremy Brown brought his excavator to attempt to lift the moose from the well, Gardner talked softly to the animal. I was trying to talk him through it, calm him down, she said. The guy was desperate at that point. Matt Cummings, a Passamaquoddy tribal game warden, stood watching the preparations along with Steve Dunham, a regional wildlife biologist who started to prepare his tranquilizer gun. The bull was visibly calm by this time, which was probably an indication that it was exhausted, Cummings said. It wasn't thrashing around at all. Dunham backed up and fired. Within minutes, the bull was down, and Dunham climbed into the well to thread 2 yellow nylon straps around the animal's body. The straps were attached to the excavator, and after 2 tries, the inert moose lay on the surface beside the well. Dunham administered another shot to the moose to counteract the tranquilizer, and then the small group of people stood there and held their breath. I knew I shouldn't be too hopeful, Gardner said. We just had to wait and see what he would do. It took another 45 minutes before the group had its answer. The moose slowly lifted his head and then staggered to his feet. Dunham approached carefully to shoo it away from the well, and eventually the moose trotted into the woods and to scattered applause from the onlookers. After he crossed 214 into the woods, he was going full bore, Cummings says. He looked like he wasn't injured at all. All the gathered group had left to do was fill in the hole to make sure it wouldn't claim another moose. Gardner recommends that others look for similar traps on their property. Check to see if there's any old houses that may have been on your property and look for these old wells. Then cover them up to keep both you and animals safe. For everyone involved in the great moose rescue of Pembroke, it was a moment they'll all remember. It really was unbelievable, Cole Brown says. I'll be telling my grandchildren about this one. And there is a picture of the moose in the hole. So, is it just me? Or is there a deeper meaning here beyond check your property for old wells? Is it connection, compassion? No bowl's too big? No. Yeah, okay, we're gonna work with it. Besides perhaps the apt metaphor for the current age of trying to get a live moose out of a deep well, the meaning I've come to make of this story is one of compassionate cooperation. Last month, I attended a lecture by a civic leader named Eboo Patel. Patel is the founder of an org called Interfaith America, an international nonprofit that aims to promote interfaith cooperation. During his talk, Patel spoke animatedly and passionately about pluralism, which of course is one of our UU values. The Oxford English Dictionary defines pluralism as the state of a society where diverse groups, like those of different religions, different ethnicities, races, or political beliefs, coexist peacefully and maintain their unique cultures. What a concept. Well, there was a lot of content that in Eboo Patel's lecture, and I'm sure I'll be returning to his stories and history lessons down the road. The crux of his thesis was that what we need now, more than anything, to mend our depressingly broken and gleefully divisive society are opportunities for diverse groups of people to gather together and do something that requires cooperation. Something like supporting your kids' Little League team, helping a neighbor shovel their driveway, jogging in a road race fundraiser, organizing a meal train, a bake sale, coffee hour, perhaps excavating a moose out of a well. Things of such beauty that for a minute, death and ambition, even love, doesn't enter into it. Just humanity. Humanity that goes beyond any talk about it. To quote John Dewey, an educational philosopher best known for his pedagogy of learning by doing, only when we are cooperating across differences can we create something that is genuinely new. Something you might tell your grandchildren about. A couple years ago, I preached on the work of this psychologist named Dacher Keltner. He's the director of something called the Social Interaction Lab at UC Berkeley, and he's the first person to specifically study the feeling of awe, experiences that transcend our understanding of the world. Experiences, you might say, that go beyond talk. Through years of research, what Keltner and his team discovered is that awe has a transformational impact on our brains, orienting us towards new insights and bigger ideas. And when we share experiences of awe with others, an inexplicable bond is formed, no matter who the others are. Over the course of a decade, Keltner's lab conducted thousands of interviews from people from dozens of countries and asked them to share an experience of awe that transcended their understanding of the world. From these stories, common themes quickly emerged. And from these commonalities, Keltner's lab created a list of what they called the 8 wonders of life. Or in other words, the top 8 things that inspire awe in us. Does anyone remember or think they know what the number one cause of awe is amongst humans across the whole world? Sure, you all said it at the same time. I'm not sure what you said. I heard nature, kindness, birth. Sure. It's actually the number one cause of awe for people all across the world is something Keltner and his team ended up calling moral beauty. Yeah, that's the good stuff. That is the good stuff. Acts of courage, strength, and overcoming in the name of kindness. Simply put, the number one source of awe in this shared life and world of ours is when we experience people being kind to others against the odds, or being kind to a bull moose against the odds. And for the record, anyone know what number 2 is? Anyone remember? It's not nature. Nature's down the list, wildly. It's something called collective effervescence. Shared collective experiences. This is what Taylor Swift's Eras tour was all about. That's how she became a billionaire, because we love that. And if many of you were at protests with thousands of other people yesterday, collective effervescence. This, sitting in that silence together, singing a song you really love, collective effervescence. I think this is the reason we come to church. We like how that feels. Collective effervescence is feeling that you are a part of something bigger than yourself, like participating in a cooperative project, or belonging or participating in a community like this one that's rich with stories and passions and lessons and headlines and goings-on and recipes from grandma and poems and opportunities to cooperate in the name of moral beauty. My friends, this world is rife with stories of people not working together, actively in standoffs and shutdowns against one another. And perhaps that is why stories of people working together for the sake of kindness, for a common good, provide the greatest sources of awe. Because we are fed so many stories of opposition and cruelty, we've come to believe such goodness is unbelievable. Personally, I think there's something more to it. Something blessedly not in reaction to the cultural and political woes of the day, but rather inherent to the deepest nature of who we are. Relational beings who want to belong, be of use, make new friends, and do good. As is said in many indigenous cultures, like the trees are connected to grasses, and valleys are connected to mountains, and rivers are connected to seas, we are connected to each other. Beloved spiritual companions, after today, I'm going to be out of the pulpit for a few Sundays. I'm having kind of a serious surgery to recreate a ligament in my knee on Thursday. Prayers welcome. And I won't be able, after that, to drive for a while, much less stand up here and present this cool, confident, steady leadership you've grown so accustomed to. I'm going to be offline on medical leave after the surgery for about a week so I can completely relax my body and mind and get on with the healing process as soon as possible. The Spiritual Care Council, any spiritual care counselors in the house today? These good folks will be here to support you through any joys and sorrows that come along your way. And if something really hard and urgent comes up, you can give me a call or let them know you'd like me to know, and I'll try to be in touch with you as soon as I can, but I likely won't be able to get to you for a little while. After I take that week of medical leave, I'll be working remotely for a spell and happily completing my ministerial responsibilities as best I can while watching the latest season of The Kardashians in between. In the meantime, here we are. Here you are. This is it. You are it. And in the weeks ahead, opportunities for cooperation and collaboration and care might present themselves to you more often than they usually do. Take them, greet them, dream them up. Use this community, this space here as a place to practice cooperative relationships and witness moral beauty in action. That's what we're here for. Always, to practice doing the good that we need to bring out there. This life is our life, and care by care, we will carry on together. Together. Watch out for those wells. Cry out for help if you need it. And know that you're part of something with others. Let it be so. And amen. And our closing hymn is number 30. Over my head, we're going to sing verses 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, with the choir. Choir, come on up and help us sing this song. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings experience profound joy and the causes of profound joy. May all beings think of others, cooperate with others, and feel the kindness of being part of something bigger than themselves until we all get free. And will you join me in the words of our unison benediction? For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. For those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Go in peace, my friends. The service begins when the service ends. See you soon.